Hello guys and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me Vulcan. Today I have for you a 2 versus 2 on Mont Ormel, and in this one I'm going to be using the 15th Infantry Scots Division. I'm also playing with Valh once again, and this is a 2 versus 2 ranked game. And he's going to be using the 3rd Canadian Infantry. We're playing against Puds and Guitspart, who are using the 17th SS Panzer Grenadier and 352nd Infantry respectively. So you guys have been asking me to like switch it up with my decks, or not necessarily asking me, but I just know that you guys don't want to see me play 716th all the time. So I've been trying to like test out some more of the allied decks, I guess, in ranked. And in this one I'm just using the 15th Infantry Scots. And I'm also very tired at this point in this one because we'd been playing all night. The last like 4 videos, I guess you can probably guess that we played them all in a row, like all of these ranked games. So it came up to this one, and this was like the last one of the night, and I was in a pretty tired state. Decided to bring out the 15th Infantry Scots because it's probably one of the decks that I'd like to try that I was the most comfortable with. So I'm going to be starting with basically rifles and Churchill 5s and sort of just going for this push here. What I really find difficult about this map though is that if this hill gets contested, it's such an annoyance to deal with, especially as the 15th Infantry Scots, because you don't have the infantry to push through those forests properly, and that really got irritating throughout the game. Either way, Val's going to be taking the left side. You can see I'm putting pings here to tell him what to do. That's actually because he was on the phone at the beginning of the round. Normally, like obviously we're on comms together, but for the start of this one, I just basically said to him, I'll defend right from here, which is this sort of compound to the right. I'm spreading myself pretty thin, but I was pretty happy I could deal with it. Meanwhile, that allows Valh to basically concentrate on the left side and push up this road, especially through this forest where he has stormtroopers. Since he's playing the Canadian Infantry, he has these stormtroopers. They have about 18 HE power and 100 meter range. Really strong infantry units. Can push all the way through this forest, and he can make some ground here. So that's kind of what I was hoping for in this one. If I just speed it up, we can see where the orders are going. But if we just talk about the units quickly, I've got a Tripolston, I've got a AT gun, I've got the Vickers HMG there, and of course the Churchill 5. So on this right side, pretty much just spreading out infantry where I can. I've got 1 infantry squad going to the right house, 1 infantry squad going to the orchard there. I've got 1 infantry squad going to the top of this road. And then I've got AT gun going to this right side. This gives you a nice line of sight down the road to the right. And often that gets pushed. Then I've got a Tripolston that's going to come up and sit in this bush just here. That's got a decent line of sight down the road and also can fire on any infantry that reveals itself in the edge of the forest. Then we're going to see the Churchill just fast move to the front here, and that's so that it can fire out across the open here. 1,200 meter range allows it to even hit this tree line all the way back here, which is crazy. And then I've just got an AT gun, I've got an MG for this building, so that it can cover down the road, as you can see, and like anything that comes into this forest, as well as anything that comes up here, it will just get pinned down instantly by the machine gun. Then just got a normal infantry squad to go into this building. Over on the left side, simple infantry squad for the forest, plus Vickers HMG, the rifle squad, and a command unit to just hold this sort of building complex, because normally this is quite well contested. So first contact appears on the right side. We're going to be seeing the SBW coming up here. That's the one with the AT gun on top of it. This AT gun oddly unloads really early and doesn't fast move all the way around, which is really annoying. Going to be destroying an IG-18 there with the Tripolston, really good. Rifles are starting to engage some Panzer Grenadiers. So this is difficult because they've already pushed all the way up here, and what's going to happen is there's actually a Stug, and I'm now like moving my Churchill to the right side to take on this infantry. I actually didn't identify that was a Stug initially until it came in and started to absolutely wreck my Tripolston. And one shot plus the machine gun annihilates my Tripolston. Then I'm trying to get my Churchill out of here as soon as I notice that this is getting hit. So it gets hit, takes transmission damage. I'm trying to reverse it out of there, but Boom, one-shot transmission damage, going to slow it down. It's getting panicked now. Third shot going to kill it. We've also just lost my rifle unit here as well because the Tripolston couldn't provide fire support. So my line simply collapses just like that. Really expensive Churchill goes down, the Tripolston goes down, that's pretty expensive as well, plus the rifle is just simply to a Stug. Now this is the 3-star Stug, supported by Grenführer is 3 stars. It's 2-star Stug 3 that you can get as the Panzer Grenadiers at the start of the game, and I completely forgot about it. I completely forgot. So there's a big part of playing Steel Division that's really like reliant upon like knowing the divisions you're playing against, and in this case that was like a huge mistake. Like I should have known that the Stug 3 was coming, but I completely forgot. If I knew it was coming, then for one I probably wouldn't have brought a Churchill 5, and I probably would have invested in more AT guns, because if I had an AT gun there supporting the Tripolston, I probably could have popped that Stug before the Stug could kill the AT gun. So now I've got a problem because there's a big old hole here. This has given him so much time to establish himself in these forests. But over here on the right, I've brought up an MMG carrier with the Recce squad, and the MMG carrier is actually going to rip to shreds the Panzer Grenadiers. And during the game, I literally said, today I learned the MMG carriers are OP, because this MMG carrier with the 4 HE power and Bren gun plus the 8 AP power Vickers machine gun absolutely destroyed the Panzer Grenadiers so quickly. That was nothing to do with the rifles, that was all this MMG carrier, and really surprised me, honestly. Either way, SPW 221 pushing up on the right side. Rifles are going to engage the unit up on the hill here. The SPW 221 can't engage infantry, so that just ended up getting popped by the 6-pounder without doing anything. A little bit of a mistake on my opponent's part. But here comes the MG42 to engage the rifles here. The rifles, I'm jumping them out there just to try and avoid as much fire from the MG42 as possible. What's going to happen though? Aufklärer do come up. An Aufklärer at close range can actually do quite a lot of damage. They do have 6 HE power, but what I'm going to do is focus the rifles onto the Aufklärer to make sure I get rid of that recon squad. And with that kill, at least I paid off the rifles. The MMG carrier is continuing to assist in taking out some more Panzer Grenadiers here, assisted by the rifles. Trying to get this AT gun into position to take out the Stug. This 6-pounder's having a go as well, so just trying to make that happen. 6-pounder's going to miss. Stug 3 is definitely not going to miss. It's a 3-star Stug for God's sake. But either way, that's going to be retreating after that 6-pounder comes up, and that's actually going to bring it into line of sight of this 6-pounder, and I've got a lovely rear shot. And he misses, of course. Of course he does. Either way, this still has a reverse order, so he's got a second shot available, and second shot is successful, so that's good.
Gun ready.
So, just going to have to retreat the 6-pounder. We've got rid of the Stug 3, that's nice, but I've already paid for it with the MMG, or with the Tripolston, the Churchill 5, and all that I lost early on. By the way, this MG carrier comes through and takes out the MG42 as well, so that was good. And now I'm bringing up some infantry just to support the 6-pounder, make sure it doesn't get flanked on either side. I've also brought up another Tripolston, so because since the Stug 3 is dealt with, I need something that is going to support the AT gun properly and the rifles properly. I'm also going to bring up a Honey Stewart as well. Honey Stewart at this sort of range is really nice because not only can it pop bigger tanks if they get into range, but it can also just like demolish infantry with its 3 machine guns. Here going to be being engaged by the Panzer Grenadiers onto those rifles. Going to be bringing across the MMG carrier again to help out. Still got more rifle squads here and a Recce. Ideally I should have had a command unit on this right side. That's definitely something I should have invested in. It would have assisted us in basically being more effective and efficient of taking out those opponents on that right side, like the Panzer Grenadiers and the MG42 and so on that I'd already killed. Like if the command unit was there, it would have happened a lot quicker. So now my opponent's using Stoßtruppen. This was probably the most annoying part about this game. I have nothing to do with Stoßtruppen at close range. So in these forests, Stoßtruppen are king. So what I'm trying to do here is use my rifles to reveal the Stoßtrupp, but the Stoßtrupp will only reveal themselves at 100 meter range. Then use the Tripolston to pin them down. Meanwhile, the opponents are using artillery to try and pin down my Tripolston, so it's not great. Either way, MMG carrier is going to be surrendering there to the Panzer Grenadiers as it gets a little bit too close and then gets grenaded and surrenders. Scots Troop are going to be revealing themselves, but what they're going to do, this was a really nice play from my opponent. He uses the smoke to cover off my Tripolston from attacking him. Then he's going to allow the Tripolstons to engage the rifles. Now the main issue here is that every time the rifles are moving out of range, the Scots Troop can hide again. So I'm having to continuously move towards them and take damage in order for the Tripolston to get on target. Now what I could have done is probably fire positioned this, and I probably should have done that, but I didn't, which was a bit silly of me. And I also should have been bringing up recon. So these were the two main issues that I had throughout this game. Was recon and just using fire position effectively. So bringing up this recon squad actually really worked out well because I had the MMG carrier that did so much work. I should have been using more of those MMG carriers as opposed to Honey Stuarts, for example, to continue the push, because with recon available, those Scots Troopers wouldn't have been able to hide so easily, and that would have allowed me to take them out a lot better. So here I'm just moving the Tripolston up a bit further more just to avoid the mortar fire. Honey Stuart's pinning down the MG42 for us, which is nice. I've got these rifles into this building, and I'm going to be bringing up another Tripolston for the right side. 6-pounder is going to be blowing up the 223 on top of the hill here. So that was good, and I'm now getting this MG to come up into this building and unload so that these Panzer Grenadiers pushing across the orchard don't win out. So this Tripolston is going to be able to fire at the Panzer Grenadiers in this building. Recce are just sort of sitting up there at the moment, not really seeing too much, honestly, because they're in the trees. One of my rifle squads is destroyed by the Scots Troop, and I was trying to get so much stuff into like line of sight to kill this, but then another Scots Troop comes out of nowhere, pops my carrier, and then smokes itself. I was not having a good time. But again, that's another example of where I probably could have just like fire positioned into that smoke and killed off the Tripolston. Here's going to be an AT gun that's going to try and get on target of my Honey. 1 star, misses its first shot, and then I'm going to be able to pin it down with all of this machine gun fire. So that was fortunate that that ended up happening. But going to lose line of sight onto the pack there, and that's devastating. Again, recon would have been really nice in this situation. So what I'm going to be forced to do is literally fast move my Honey away, so that if that disappears and then comes out of cover again, it doesn't just one pop my Honey. So I'm just trying to get that out of line of sight. I'm going to fall back my rifles here. On the right side, Tripolstons are going to be pinned down, but that is going to get back into cover again. I've also got a Honey coming up for the right side. Again, commands. I don't know why I wasn't using commands. I don't know why I wasn't using recon. There's so many things in this game that really baffled me. When I went back to watch it, I was just like, why didn't I do these things? But I guess in some ways, I mean, there's no real excuse for it. I'm just bad, basically. Recon would have been amazing to, especially in the center part, to counter Scots Troop and to counter the fact that my infantry can't get into range, otherwise they just die. Here, Tripolston's engaging the MG squad, and I'm actually going to bring up the rifles to engage them. Just trying to kill off the MG42 at close range there. But yeah, just there's so many things that I could have done better. One command unit on the right side here would have allowed this Honey to do better. Would have buffed these rifle squads, the MG squad. I'm still doing damage, for example. I still took out the Panzer Grenadier squad here where the rifles moved in. I still took out the Panzer Grenadiers in the orchard, but over on the left side, what's going to happen is the mortar's going to one-shot my my Tripolston, and this was one of the 81mm mortars with 10 HE. It actually landed a direct shot onto my Tripolston first time and killed it immediately, which was quite annoying. But either way, more reinforcements coming up to counter my rifles that have actually made some ground. And this Scots Troop is still alive, and I'm moving the MG carrier. The Pack 38 is actually the one to get the kill, but the Scots Troop definitely would have done the job. Honey's basically trying to get target onto the Scots Troop there, and yeah, I'm not entirely sure what to do with this Honey because I can't move it to the left in case it gets ambushed by the AT gun. Can't move it to the right because there's AT guns in the way, so using this honey alongside the rifles here to get target onto the Pack 38 here. This Pack 38, this was pretty damn lucky that that didn't get the kill. That honey should have died. That was really stupid of me, again. But either way, moving up the rifles to take this tree line. Managed to basically push back the right side. On the left, Valh's done a fantastic job. He's pushed up with his stormtroopers. He's pushing out the Stossrup. Really, really doing a fantastic job at the moment for our team. So 54% territory lead, and it's all in Valh's hands at the moment. He's got the lead over there. I'm just covering the far right of the map and allowing him to concentrate on that left side. So he did bring over an AT gun to assist me as well. That was nice. But here comes my command steward. So bringing up the rifle leader. We're moved into phase B. I have these command stewards available, and these are 3 stars. And they have a 50 cal and a 30 cal. A lot of HE value. So I'm moving that up. That's going to destroy the pack very quickly. I'm sort of moving it very close to this tree line. Not entirely sure why. I think I just had like an attack move order for no reason. But in comes a Spitfire just to bomb out the 223 there. We're going to see a Kubel MG come up the road, and that didn't get pinned down very quickly at all. So they're going to be able to get that to make a hole here, which was kind of annoying. Mainly should have just had this Vickers move over to the right side building, but I don't think I noticed this happening until the front line came in. And then the stormtroopers are trying to run up and hit my rifles now. So yeah, rifles. I mean, I'm going to be able to pin down these Stossrupen in the open. My rifles are in cover, but he's going to be using the smoke again to cover off the fire support from my other rifle squad. But it's going to force me to retreat these rifles. These rifles in the tree line here, not too much I can do about their engagement with this Panzer Grenadier other than maybe move around the command steward. So I'm going to maybe try and get them round, or just retreat the rifles for now. These rifles managed to get shots onto the Pack 38 there, which is great. That's going to allow me to move forwards the honey and help finish that off. As if I can pin this down, then the honey is free to engage that, basically. So it's going to get its machine guns on target, and boom goes the Pack 38. So on the right side, Tripolston's up on the hill here again. He smoked off the Tripolston and allows him to use the Stossrup to kill off my rifles. Just really, really good job with these Stossrup throughout the game by my opponent. Really, really using them well. Command steward though going to be ripping to shreds the Pioneers as they try and approach my rifles. Honey was trying to hold the top of the hill, but is being smoked off at the moment, so I'm a bit worried about what's coming my way. Panzer Grenadiers are going to be engaged by the rifles. And we've still got a big old hole going on in the middle here, which I haven't really been able to deal with. Again, should have moved over the Vickers HMG to this right house, and maybe just sort of found out what was causing this big old hole, because this is a little bit of a detriment to what Valh's trying to do on the left side. Valh's pushed a lot, and he's gained a lot of ground. He's managed to get a Stormtrooper into here, which is making a big old dent. 53% territory lead. Managed to make those Panzer Grenadiers surrender, thanks to the 2-inch mortar carrier. Panzer Grenadiers are going to be engaging these rifles and pinning those down, trying to get the command steward into a position where it can fire down the road and help out. But yeah, it's pretty difficult at the moment because I can't use my own smoke to cover off my rifles to close the range because my rifles suck. The other thing that just happened here was my honey gets ambushed by a Panzerschreck squad. So that's not ideal, and you can see there's a Sturm Pioneer. I find that out soon enough, I can assure you. But yeah, now he's moving up with the IG-18s. Really like this move. The IG-18 with the Panzer Grenadiers and the Stossrup. IG-18 is going to pin down the rifles, then they can charge with the Stossrup. Really nice. Over on this side, Tripolston is actually going to get taken out by a Pack 40. Very odd exchange there, but ends up working out in their favour anyway. They're just trying to maintain this entire right side at the same time, whilst Valh concentrates his forces on the left side. He's going to be bringing in mosquitoes to bomb out his opponent there. There is going to be a Focke-Wulf 190, and he's going to be engaging that with his mosquitoes. The Focke-Wulf 190 is going to be forced to fall back, so he manages to get away with that one. We're going to see my Assault Pioneers come up and blow up the Panzerschreck squad here, and we also saw these Assault Pioneers actually destroy the Sturm Pioneers. The Sturm Pioneers almost made my Assault Pioneers surrender, but Assault Pioneer is perfect for pushing back through this forest and taking control back. But these rifles did die to the Stossrup after they got pinned, like I said, and I've now got a 6-pounder to help deal with the Stug 3 here, and that's going to go down. Really nice ammo explosion there to get rid of them. bringing up more rifle squads to assist with taking back ground. These are actually assault pioneers pushing back into this town. At close range can match up to the Scots troop because they have that grenade. I've also got assault pioneers coming in here to take out these panzer grenadiers. So sort of solidifying my line on the right side now, and Valh's giving us the +2, like the 2% extra on the left side, which is nice. Yeah, just trying to equalise ground the best I can, although my rifle's just not really good enough to match up against panzer grenadiers. Finally brought up a command unit for this right side, and you can see these recon, they need to move up and provide me recon onto the right side as well. Bringing across my command Stuart. That's probably the perfect unit right now with a 5 front armour to engage the IG-18 and the panzer grenadiers, because this has some severe lethality going on. Like, that's 14 HE power with 3-star veterancy. It just does so much damage. But what's going to happen is I'm going to completely forget about the Scots troop. I'm such a derp. Like, what is that? Scots troop popping the command Stuart, that would have been the perfect counter to all of this infantry, but I just forgot about the Scots troop, didn't I? I could have just easily moved the assault pioneers into there to find them and then pin them down and kill them, but that's not what happened, and now I'm being approached by panzer grenadiers. My assault pioneers are actually out of ammunition. I'm bringing up a Bedford supply, not only to resupply my 2-inch carrier, but also to resupply these assault pioneers with a satchel charge, because the worst part about these assault pioneers is they only have 1 satchel charge. They're great fireband squads for just deleting enemy infantry squads, and they do tend to pay themselves off, but once they've used up that ammunition, they're pretty much useless. They only have 7 HE between their 2 weapons. Bringing in the Spitfire just to finish off those Scots troop. Probably should have done that before I moved the unit up, but I'm just bringing up the honey here, as you can see, and none of the panzer grenadiers have Panzerfaust, so I don't have to worry about that. I just have to worry about like the IG-18, and so I'm just going to take that out first. Able to get my machine guns on target, pin it down, and that's going to be job done there. I'm actually going to have to manually target the IG-18 in order to finish it off. Command carrier is coming up to provide cover now as well, since the IG-18 is dead. Now in the centre here, 6-pounder is going to be engaging a Stug, but is actually going to get pinned down and destroyed. So that 6-pounder should have done the job. It was a 2-star 6-pounder, but it missed the Stug 3, and well, that was just disappointing purely. And I'm just going to start mortaring that position to try and stop that Stug from doing damage. I don't want to necessarily smoke it because there's another AT gun here, which is getting some shots, but Stug 4 just gets the kill almost immediately. So my leader unit's going to die here, but I've reloaded the assault pioneers, and I'm going to use the grenade again to destroy the panzergrens. The mortar actually pinned them down, and we forced them to surrender sooner, so that was great. This rifle leader should have been falling back. I don't know why I didn't choose to, but now being engaged by multiple pioneers and the Stug 4. Recon's moving up on the right side. Still should have had loads of recon in the middle. Like a recce squad here, for example, next to this 2-inch carrier, and a recce squad like here, or maybe even in this tree line, would have been perfect for seeing what's ahead of me, and I would have been able to do so much damage. Like you can see, I've got Spitfires and fighters, like these Spitfires and the bombers here. Spitfires are able to strafe ground units, which is fantastic, and you know, the Spitfire bomber is going to be able to like pin down the pioneers as they try and push across. So that was the idea. The 6-pounder here is going to finally hit its first shot onto the Stug as the Stug reveals itself, and yeah, finally making back some ground. But there is obviously a unit Scots troop here that you guys can see. Assault pioneers didn't have a chance to reload their grenades, so they're going to be engaging the Scots troop. I'm going to have to come in onto that Scots troop with the Spitfires, but the Scots troop just so efficient, going to be killing off the pioneer squad even with that fire support. So on this right side, the 221 I think actually killed off my honey, which was kind of annoying. There's not anything else here that could have done the job. Actually, maybe these, I think it might be the Scots troop actually. Scots troop sneaking up on me again and being a pain in the arse. It's not any different to the rest of this game really. My opponent Puds really, like Puds just did so much damage with those Scots troop. It was crazy. Really using them to pay themselves off. It was very well played.
One more kill.
But there is definitely something I could have done better in a lot of ways. Again, like I was saying, recon, extra command units at the start of the game, especially on this right side, would have been perfect. Spitfires do manage to take out the 2-2-1 with their guns, and Valh's coming in with the bombing strikes. This is like the campaign. 3 mosquitoes with multiple bombs just annihilating units of infantry on this left side, and my rifle leader is going to move forwards just to see what's there. Probably should have preserved him. And again, I was kind of sleeping at this point, so as you can see, bringing in absolutely tons of infantry because I was floating an absolute ton of points. Really, really stupid. Never do that. I think it was literally like,
we can give some fire support, sir.
I don't know, 500, 600 points worth of infantry and stuff that I could have brought up. I also brought up a Command Churchill 7. Like, you can just see how many points I was floating, and I mean, this is not my finest hour by any means, but I thought it was good to like show off this game. Although it's kind of like diabolical play, it still to me has a lot to say about like the way I was playing. So basically, I'm just trying to plug my problems with, you know, infantry. I'm trying to hold the line where I can. Obviously, that's kind of what I need to do because I'm holding pretty much 2/3 of the map. But I should have been doing it better. Like, why is none of this why has none of this got recon? Like, I'm finally bringing up in recon at the backs. Like, this last thing I bought should have been the first thing I bought before all of this rifle squads. So the rifle squads are coming up. They're now being engaged by an SPW-231. I don't have too much to deal with that. My mortar carrier was being hit. I need to get this AT gun either across to take that out. I'm also going for the rocket strike with the Typhoon just to see if I can pick it off. That's not going to get the kill. Definitely going to make it fall back though and prevent them from dying so easily. Pioneer squad's going to be coming up and engaging these rifles. I was really worried that the 22 HE power grenade would mess me up, but managing to get enough fire onto this to kill off the Pioneers. I'm pretty sure they'd used up their ammunition at that point, so I was good to go. So my opponent here, he's using Spear Troop in the front line to spot all my infantry coming up, and this is a lot of infantry coming up. I've got rifles, multiple units of rifles pushing across the field now, supported by an AT gun. 2 caught out in the open by the SPW-231 and the Spear Troop. And then I've also got units on the left side. This one supported by Command and finally Recon. So Scots Troop going to be coming across and demolishing my rifle squads here. My Command Stuart's actually going to get hit by this Pack 43. It brought up a Pack 43 and that's going to demolish the Command Stuart. Tried to get that out of line of sight but wasn't quite in time. Spear Troop going to be engaging my rifles with the 231. I'm trying to get the shots onto the Pack 43 to kill it off. 6-pounders sitting here, just need to get that to kill off the 231 and then these rifle squads will be safe. And the reason I'm not moving these rifle squads is because they're drawing fire at the moment and they do have the pinned down defensive bonus, so that's fine. Spitfire's going to be coming in with the bombs to try and kill off the Pack 43. The 231 does get taken out by the 6-pounder, finally. And I'm going to be bringing up my recon now. So my recon's going to be revealing a few units here and there. My 6-pounder on the far left is going to be engaging the 223. And that's actually going to get the kill, which is really nice. Because that's going to get rid of the veterancy for the Pioneer squads here. Pack 43 is also going to go down to my rifle squads, and I'm trying to get rid of the Spear Troop, bringing up the MG carrier to get into line of sight of those guys. So with the massive amount of forces that I had, I was just trying to do my best at pushing back now, because I basically there was a large amount of time there where I wasn't bringing in troops and reinforcing my front line, so I need to make this a significant push back to make up for that mistake. By the way, Val's still getting us the extra 1% we need. I'm bringing up another Tripolston to finish off some of these Spear Troop squads. And yeah, I'm also moving up my Command Churchill here, supported by the Command Carrier. I'm going to let the Command Carrier go first to spot any ambushes, basically, and then the Command Churchill can do its job. On the right side, though, what's going to happen is there's a SDKFZ-72, which is the anti-air 37mm gun, and that's going to be pinning down a lot of my infantry as they move to the right. Command Carrier is going to be moving up and helping finish off the Pioneer squads, but what's going to happen here, Pack 40 sneaks through the woods and blows up my Command Churchill, so yeah. The recon just wasn't in the right place to spot that coming. Scots troop die very quickly as they get revealed in this tree line. But a lot of my rifle squad's taken tons of damage, and the command carrier is obviously going to go down as well. My Spitfire can't even get close enough to bomb the Pack 40 before it's forced to fall back by the enemy AA. So that's an issue. Stern Pioneer's not doing too much here. They're pinned down. Yes, I can shoot them and kill them off. But this AA is really an issue at the moment. I need to get the 6-pounder forwards to take that out. Rifles have got shots onto the Pack 40, which is good. I'm also bringing out the MG carrier to finish that off. And, well, finally making back some ground here. So pushing forwards the rifles, supported by the MG carrier, we want to get rid of the Pack 40 there once and for all. Over here, another Stern Pioneer comes in and forces my rifles to surrender. Rifle squad on the right side, engaging some Pioneers out in the open. A couple of recon squads with return fire, keeping an eye on this right side. So finally got this recce into position. And I guess it's good that I kind of identified this later in the game, but it was too late. Like, if I had this recon squad earlier, I would have been able to save so many of my troops, like so many of my rifles, and because I didn't have them sooner, I'm actually getting pretty low on like infantry at this point. And yeah, it's literally just I need to make sure that I'm not pushed back again, because I'm pretty much sitting at the 50-50 here. The 50-50 is like, I think roughly like here-ish. So I'm slightly over it in positions, and kind of giving us the +1. Val's been pushed back on the left side to the 50-50. So yeah, either way, big old Air Force coming in now. The Mosquitoes bombing all over the place. My Spitfire's coming in to support, and we kill a lot of the supporting troops ahead. I'm also pushing forwards on this left side now, so Pioneers move up and kill off one of the half tracks here. Actually, there's a Kubel MG. Just allow the assault Pioneers to use their grenade to kill that off. So just probing where I can, just to make a little bit more of a front line. And he's now going to be pushing up the hill with a Stug 3. So I'm trying to get my honey into a position where that can ambush the Stug 3. Rifles here are going to all open up onto the Scots troop. The Scots troop are all coming up this hill, and they can't actually get into the trees soon enough. So what I'm going to do is come in with a Typhoon and rocket strike all of those units. Perfect. Kills the Panzergrenadier, makes them all able to be like surrender basically, and I'm also going to bomb the Stug for good measure. And this is going to allow me to just run towards all of these units with the rifles and possibly make them surrender. So that's what I was going for. Unfortunately, what's going to happen is the Pack 37 is going to destroy my rifles alongside the Stug 4, and they're all going to get away. The Stug 3 is a little bit of an issue. It's driving away from my rifles. I should have been running towards it. I'm trying to get the honey now to get into line of sight to shoot that. So Spitfire's still flying about, still being hit by Pack 37s though. What's going to happen is the Stug 3 is basically recovering its morale, and now I can't really face it with the honey, because if the honey gets into line of sight with the Stug, then it's going to die. So I noticed that, then I'm like, whoops, I'm going to retreat as quickly as I can, just like reverse around the corner. Stug 3 is basically not affected at all now. So what I'm going to do is bring in the Typhoon AT. So we're still running a +1, and we're still in the lead with 1,162 score, but I'm running low on infantry. I'm relying a lot more now on like Honey Stewarts and the MMG carriers. Typhoon AT is going to fail at killing the Stug 3, but causes it to fall back again. This rifle squad should have been moving to the right side to try and capture that, but either way, this rifle squad is going to get pinned down and absolutely annihilated by the opponents. And since they are relying on Stugs, I'm going to be bringing up a Stuart with the 17-pounder. So this is another way of getting these Stuart carriers in with the 50 cals and the 30 cals on them, and they're so good. They're just such good fire support. Pioneer squad there going to be pinned down by the Tripolston. This Tripolston's also going to wreck the IG-18, which is nice. They're going to kill that off. And both my recon squads on the right side were killed. In the centre I've still got this recce here, so if they manage to get into this forest again, it's not so much of an issue. The 17 pounder waiting. It's got line of sight down the road, just needs the Stug to come to the right a little more. Rifle squad there, not in the best position. Should have moved them back, made sure that they couldn't be fired upon. Bringing up another Churchill 7 for the right side. And By Polston is going to be hammering these pioneers, finally take out the Sturm pioneers there. But that's going to be pinned down by enemy mortar fire. So this honey is going to be engaging the pioneers just out of line of sight of the Stug. I'm basically hoping that this would allow or make the opponent move to the right, but I'm guessing he spotted the 17 pounder earlier. And he's just going to smoke off the fire support. And what's going to happen? Well, on the right side, we see the Churchill go down to a Stug 3 now. So not having much luck with my command Churchills this game, that's for sure. A lot of my rifles being killed off now. I'm actually forced to bring in some off-map artillery. Need to finish off these pioneers, but I don't want to open up with the recce because they'll get killed by the 232. MMG carriers are moving over to the right, and I'm also moving a honey over to the right to try and ambush the Stug 3 if it moves up. But I'm going to use the Spitfire here to try and bomb this 232, but forced back too soon, which is annoying. Spitfire here is going to come in for the bombing strike onto the Flak 36, but it gets like halfway up again, forced to fall back. This Flak 36 is really nice against like light aircraft, and the 232 just going to be popping both of my MG carriers almost instantly there. So brought in the Spitfires, shouldn't have let them get so close to the AA. Just going to keep them out in the sky though, just to make sure that I have some air presence. And he's going to be engaging the 232 and starting to miss a lot since I'm pretty low on command at this point. 17 pounder is going to pop the Stug at very close range there. And the honey is going to go down to the 232. Yeah, it missed just a little bit too many shots, and the 232 had enough time to do the damage. The 232 is also going to take out the Tripolston in literally 2 hits. And this was a big issue. I'm trying to get the 6 pounder on line of sight, and I do finally take it out with the 6 pounder. Rifles here are going to be engaging the pioneers, but taken out by the 232. And I'm worried that the 232 is going to take out my 17 pounder, so I'm going to start wheeling that back now. So on this left side, I probably could have continued to push here. I knew that this was weak, and I don't know why I didn't do it sooner, but if I just provided like a little bit of smoke here or something, I could have run up and just like killed this MG squad. I don't know what's here, which is why the reason I'm not pushing it. But you can see that they are weak, and I should have been probing other lines instead of just like constantly battling on the right side, and another Scots troop squad takes out another one of my Stuart Reams. So yeah, fun times. I was just not enjoying playing against Pud's Scots troop. It wasn't. I mean, it was a fun game, but it didn't feel fun at the time because those Scots troop were doing so much damage. Either way, in comes the off-map artillery onto the opponents. I've kind of got it hitting this area here to kind of kill any reinforcements. But I think both sides are actually really low on infantry at this point. We've been mashing heads, and yeah, it's just not been great. Scots troop also moving up here. If we go to my perspective, I can't see this happening, but I don't want my honey to be killed again, so I'm trying to run away from that as best I can. Rifle squad is going to be engaged by the 232 there. That was a bit of a mistake letting that happen. And my honey was aiming at something, but this is every time this is happening, like it's aiming at the Stug 4, and also my 6 pounder is. So I'm trying to pin that down best I can. 6 pounder actually gets the kill. But if we go to neutral perspective, Scots troop in range, boom goes the honey to another Panzerfaust. And you can see why I was getting quite annoyed at this point, because although I wasn't necessarily playing properly, it was just irritating to play against, I guess. So Typhoon coming in, actually going to try and hit the Flak 36 with a Typhoon AT, not the best choice of target, but just wanted to try and get rid of some of this AA so we could hit this right side pretty hard with Valh's mosquitoes. Valh's mosquitoes, however, are going for an extreme bombing run on the left side. Look how many he has at this point. It's absolutely mental. Loving those mosquitoes anyway. Yeah. So I'm not having the most fun on this right side, but we are at 1,538 points lead, and there's only 2 minutes left in the game. So we're pretty sure we've won at this point. It's just a matter of saving face, I guess. The Daimler Little John coming in is a pretty decent unit at close range to pop like a Stug. If you can get the ambushing shot onto them, then it can really do a lot of damage. So I'm trying to move that over to the right side. I wanted to get it into this orchard to assist the 6-pounder. I'm also bringing up some more recon here with the MMG carriers, and the idea being that the recce can sort of push up and the MMG carrier provides fire support. Same thing on the right side. Going to be dropping some off-map just here, and then I'll be pushing that in with a recon squad and the MMG's fire support. On the right side, rifles probably could have been making some ground. You see there's only a spear troop here, but there's also a Stug 4. There's a Stug 3, supported by a 232. 232 actually goes down to the 6-pounder, which was great. I'm just going to be retreating that to make sure that that doesn't get killed off by the spear troop. Over on this left side, recon squad's able to get very close to the Sturm Pioneers, whilst the MMG carrier just pins down the Sturm Pioneers, and that's exactly what I was going for on this left side. Spear troop are going to be hit pretty hard by the machine gun of the Daimler Little John and the MMG carrier. Going to be killing off this Stoßtruppen with the off-map artillery, and this spear troop gets pinned down just after it kills the 6-pounder, which is annoying. And over on this right side, well, I get hit by a Nebelwerfer, and they push me with the spear troop and the Stug 4. So my command unit dies, and then my rifles surrender. So that was quite irritating. Daimler Little John trying to get on target here to kill the Stug 3. Stug 3 is going to hit it one shot because it's 2-star veterancy. Typhoon comes in to hit the Sturm Pioneers there and allow my recon squad to run forwards. And this is exactly the sort of play I should have been making earlier in the game. Valh's making great ground on the left side, especially with his mosquito bombers. But yeah, this exactly what's happening here. Moving forward as a recce squad, not even using them to engage, but just allowing them to spot the enemy infantry, and then I kill it with whatever I need. That would have been the best way to play this, and I just didn't. And it was really annoying. Like, I watched it back, and I guess I've gone through most of it throughout the game, but just not using enough recon, not using enough command units, and yeah, I mean, I held, but it wasn't pretty at all. And if we jump to the team perspective, well, the kills and losses pretty much say it all. 3,065 kills to 2,575 or 2,570 losses. I honestly thought that this would be a lot worse, this losses, but the 15th Scots infantry is really cheap, so that kind of that kind of gives me the reason why the losses are so low. In terms of Valh, 4,220 kills to 1,950 losses. Really did well pushing that left side concentrated. Really paid off. And those mosquito bombers, like, he just built them up to the point where he had this massive air force. Nothing the opponents can do about it. And I'm pretty sure they stopped just trying to contest the air, because those mosquitoes, like those front guns on the mosquitoes, can just destroy multiple things in one pass. Especially you have like 3 mosquitoes firing at like 1 ME-109 in like a front-on attack. Those mosquitoes will shoot it down before it even passes them. So that's crazy. But yeah, absolutely mental. Pud's really doing a fantastic job with the Stoßtrupp. If we look at the kills, MMG carrier here, that was absolute hero. 6-pounder taking out 2 Stugs. Honey taking out the IG-18 and the PaK-37. I guess in most cases, actually, a lot of these units were paying themselves off quite nicely. Command Stuart taking out a lot of units there, but it is very spread out. This 6-pounder taking out a lot of fire support units. That was the one that was in the orchard. Command carriers taking out units, rifles taking out a couple units, Tripolstons taking out a few units. Again, this Tripolston probably died, but it paid itself off, so that's good. And in general, I guess that's the only reason that my right flank didn't collapse. Also in like that mid-game area where I had so many floating points, that was just silly. I don't know why I did that. Again, I was falling asleep at this point, but In terms of losses, Stug 3 killed the Tripulse and the Churchill 5 at the start. That was horrible. The Stostrupen really just doing so much work. And SK-18, that long-range artillery, pinning and killing a lot of my Tripolstins. It was actually like an SK-18, it wasn't a mortar. I keep saying it was a mortar, but it's actually a long-range RT gun there, pinning down those Tripolstins and killing them off. It was really nice for the opponents. Stug 3, that's probably exactly why the Tripolstins died in one hit, but either way, Stug 3 taking out another Command Churchill there and multiple other stuff. These 232s going to work on my rifles and the MG carriers and the Honey Stewart there. Really surprised that the Honey Stewart got killed by the 232. Normally that doesn't happen, but sometimes it does. In this case, I got unlucky. But yeah, my opponent played really well with the Stostrup, using the smoke to like cover off the fire support and then like engaging at close range. Really, really nice job by Puds. Overall though, I should have played it a lot better. Using recon would have been so nice in the early to mid game. I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner. Obviously you can see by the end of the game I was sort of working out what was going wrong, but yeah, it was too late. And I guess if I'd worked it out sooner, I might have been able to push them off the hill and then sort of covered the open area on the right side and helped Valh on the left push it even harder. That would have been the idea in this game. But either way, that's all for now. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this one. Hopefully you've learned a lot. I mean, this was a game that completely baffled me and I just didn't play very well. So hopefully it was enjoyable to watch, even though I didn't necessarily play the best. I guess it always gives us a lot to talk about anyway, doesn't it? So that's all. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.